Welcome to Bigfoot
and the Bunny.
This is a couple's journey into the mysterious,
the unknown, and the paranormal.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm your host, Kristen Johnson.
Together we are Bigfoot and the Bunny.
Hello. We are Bigfoot and the Bunny, and I'm one of the hosts, Chris Carr.
And I am Kristen Johnson.
The other host.
I am.
Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing good. It's wonderful to have you here with us, especially if you're watching us live. We really appreciate it. We know it's summertime, and you might want to be at the beach or somewhere cool, but if you're here watching us, we really appreciate it.
Yes.
But we also appreciate it if you watch us later. So wherever you're watching us at, thank you. We have a great show for you guys this week. I think we're going to get right to things. We didn't have a lot prepared for an introduction. Mm-hmm. So let's just get talking and get on this subject.
She's awesome. I can't wait.
She is awesome. Our guest is Michelle Carpenter. She has a gift of seeing into a person's body, mind, and spirit. She can sense when a person's heart contracts, when it feels sadness or pain, or expands with their vibrational shifts in the moment of grieving or allowing vulnerability. She has shown where feelings are held within the body and mind, working on a deeper level of the subconscious programming. She works with past lives, intergenerational trauma, and ancestral trauma, as well as connects with the spirit of loved ones who have passed over, which would make her a medium. And you know we love mediums here on Bigfoot and the Bunny. She is also a channels the angelic beings of light that she calls the Council of Eight. And we're going to get into all that. Mm-hmm. Let me bring her right on. Good evening, good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, guys.
And we are in the U.S., and there's a huge time difference there. You're actually in our tomorrow.
You're in tomorrow.
That's
so
correct.
It's not surprising if you could see the future right now.
Thank you for having me.
But thank you so much for joining us. Maybe you could tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I haven't come into my abilities and gifts in the way that, I was 3 or 4 years old and I remember, seeing spirit. I grew up and I have a background where I had a lot of intergenerational trauma, extreme trauma myself. And slowly but surely as time has I've evolved and I've worked on myself through different ceremonies, different therapies, different modalities. I slowly but surely started to, I look at the body as, our mass. This is our energy. We're all energy, but my mass body was holding on and my heart was holding on to so much. And as I started to let go, and I call them golden tears, and allowed myself to be more vulnerable through the healings and the work that I continuously do in myself, I started to elevate and expand into the all that we are. And I didn't understand it. I come from a religious background, and it kind of scared me because, we spoke to Jesus. I went to church as a young girl, and then I became a reborn Christian when I was in high school. So it kind of like, I always sort of was like, well, Jesus is everything's on the outside. And when there's more, I got quite scared. What do you mean there's more? What do you mean there's other stuff out there? And slowly but surely, as I said, as I was releasing with doing different modalities, with working on myself, I started to connect and to sort of like these different voices. And I then brought a friend into my space who was my counselor at the time. And I don't know if you'd like me to speak a little bit about the trauma that I've been through, because I feel it may just help some people in terms of references. Absolutely. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I thought we could just talk a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into questions, and I'm sure people in the audience will have questions as well.
Oh, wonderful. Because I know a lot of people are experiencing a huge amount of trauma and grieving in these times that we've gone through. And one of the messages that I really want to deliver is that when we continuously work on or doing the work, we can start to feel the joy. We can start to feel the inner light that we all have. And we can start to become lighter in ourselves. So my background, in short, is I was sexually abused at the age of 5. by my mother's one brother. I was born in what was called Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, and my parents had to flee. We had to give away our dogs and leave pretty much everything behind and catch a train to get to South Africa. My dad was in the Rhodesian War. He was a soldier. Oh, and wow. I didn't realize all of this impacted on myself and my siblings. As I've come to realize with the work that I do, that I held on to a lot of the old fear. And slowly but surely, as time went on, we went to South Africa, and I then lost my best friend at 16 and a half. She had a kidney transplant and it didn't take. Oh. And then my mother was a pretty angry woman just from her own fears and very controlling. And my dad also had affairs when he was young. So my mom used to project, and I'll never forget the one saying, "Michelle, never let a man dominate you, or don't let a man dominate you." Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty much what I did. Also coming from the background of being sexually abused, which I only realized when I was a teenager that it was wrong. What he did to me was wrong. I just thought that this was the norm. So right. I had a really deep, strong, and I hate to use the word hatred, but I did. I had a very deep hatred for men and masculine energy, and I couldn't figure out why. Then I started to have boyfriends at the age of 18, 19, and they all left me. They would all end up cheating on me. And I smile having said this because it was a pattern. My grandfather cheated on my grandmother. My dad cheated on my mother. They chose to stay with their partners. And slowly but surely, as I started to realize, you question, what's wrong with me? What have I done wrong? I was also carrying a lot of anger and resentment, and sarcasm was a way of how I spoke. Always sarcastic about my sexual abuse, but at the same time, hoping that when I spoke about my sexual abuse, that others would understand. But you'd get this kind of shock horror, like we don't know what to do with this. Like, what do you want us to, especially with guys I was dating. And then at the age of 24, I had what now I know would have been a life-changing event, but I was so used to being and feeling stressed in my life that I just kept going. I just kept plowing through. And I was working as a sales rep, and I knocked over and killed a young girl. She misjudged my car coming across the road, and she ran across the road. And I had, sorry, Chris, do you want to?
Oh, it's just, oh no. Wow.
It was devastating, and I was, and it was something that I sat with for a long time. In even sharing, I looked down to put a straw, and I was on the right side of the road, but it was just such a strange, bizarre of events that ensued, because I thought it was an older woman that I'd knocked over and killed. A year later, I was the laws had changed in South Africa, so I wasn't arrested, but I then had a court case that we went backwards and forwards, and eventually I was acquitted. But all I did was suppress the stress. All I did was suppress the feelings of the devastation of knocking over and killing and taking somebody's life. Completely innocent that day. Both of us were completely innocent. Mm-hmm. And her mother actually got my cell phone number from the accident report and phoned me. And that's how I found out it was a young girl of 14 years old. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean she was a young girl? And then that just threw my world off completely. I was told it was a woman in her 60s or 70s, but she was apparently a big-sized girl. Doesn't make a difference in the sense of I still knocked over and killed somebody. I took a life. But I suppressed it, went on a massive partying spree. Fast forward to a life of 8 months later, getting married to a guy. We then moved to London, and then we had a baby girl. I then moved back to South Africa with my baby girl, and he chose to stay in London. And then backwards and forwards, he didn't want to come back to South Africa. And then I discovered that he was having an affair. And the only way I discovered I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years later, of him having an affair was I got involved with another guy, because I was just like, I can't be married to somebody who doesn't want to be married to me. So I did. I went and had an affair myself. And that's where we started to be brutally honest with each other, where he said to me, well, I've been, seeing somebody else for a very long time, which I knew. And it was just a space in time where I went, I need to start doing something different. I need to start figuring out what the heck is going on in my world. And I went to go see a clairvoyant. And this young gentleman said to me, Michelle, you've been through a lot, but it sounds like you don't know how to love yourself. And I went, what do you mean? I'm here to help. You've got to help me with my anger. And why men don't love me. What is it? What am I doing wrong? I remember that so specifically. And I think that I know I have a lot of clients coming to me and saying, so similar, what is my purpose? What do I need to do to, what can you tell me? What do I need to do to show up? And I'll say the similar thing. What are you doing to help yourself feel loved? Do you know what love means?
It's kind of that abusive background that seems, and also, traumatic events that led to you not even realizing probably you didn't love yourself or were able to love another person in the right way.
Right.
Completely. It was something that was completely abnormal to me, and, taken to and this is I really want people to know this, that I've come over time to really forgive myself and my parents in everything that I'm sharing. But my parents were a big link in even when I started to work on my sexual abuse and what my uncle had did to me, which was really, really big in my world, in anybody's world. But the other link in the chain was then forgiving my parents, because I only shared the story with my parents at 33 when my ex-husband had cheated on me. I said, well, Dad, this is what happened. Mom, this is what happened. And, it's a very big thing for any parent to hear what had actually happened. And, I came to realize where I got my sarcasm from, because my dad sort of, denial is a great thing to be in. And he sort of made a sarcastic comment about it, because I think it was just too hard for him to hear it, because my uncle was very attached and closely intertwined in my family, Christmases, birthdays, that kind of thing.
Oh, sure.
And,
I'm sure he felt guilty, and it must have been, he needed some sort of, deflection to deal with it as himself.
Sure. And, we when I grew up as South Africans, we were taught that you kiss each other on the lips and you hug each other when you say hi. Oh. But every time my body kind of was like, oh my God, I gotta kiss him. It was, and my parents, come on, Michelle, say hi to Uncle Wayne or say hi. And I was like, it was really hard.
Devastating. There really is. Yes.
Yeah. So the body remembers. So, these are just links in what I would describe as the chain of events that had happened in my world. And as I started to, like I say, saw this clairvoyant, I then went on a course which hospice was holding, which was a weekend retreat. And I happened to then go be in a group where the facilitator got me to feel. This is 9 years later, after knocking over and killing this young girl. 9 years later, she got me to feel how I felt about knocking over and taking a life. And I cried so hard. It felt like my heart was opening up, expanding out of my chest. But I cried so hard that I felt like my head had cracked open. Everybody was giving me massages, and they just took me to bed that day. And she just came and she held me. And that's what I needed, because she accessed that feeling of complete and utter disappointment, devastation. Like, how did this even happen? On so many, it's so many different levels and layers that one's mind can't understand it. But it was a great moment in my life of starting to take responsibility of even talking about the story, not from my head, but from my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And slowly but surely, then I started working on myself. I then went and did a counseling skills course for hospice. I became a part-time hospice caregiver in Johannesburg. And then I started counseling. And interestingly enough, guess who my first clients were? Girls or women who had been sexually abused. Apparently, the universe has a sense of humor, but I know that the healing is a two-way thing.
Yes.
And did you get involved with the hospice because you were trying to cope with the death that you on some level felt responsible, even though it was a complete accident? Is that why hospice was the choice?
Well, that's a great question, Chris, because when my friend had passed over when I was 16 and a half, she had ended up in hospice. And I remember sitting at hospice in Johannesburg, and I was working for a smaller sort of part of hospice when I became a caregiver. And what was so fascinating was I remember her parents being cancelled, about her, in her last days. And I remember sitting as a young 16-year-old or 16-and-a-half-year-old watching the counselor coming out of a room and going, how is she not devastated? She's working with people who are dying around her. So right. My sense is that because of that sort of, like, wow, how does that happen? I then felt like it was my next part of my journey to help people in the transmissions phase, I wanted to help people, and I just had this absolute desire inside of me. How can I be that woman helping parents deal with the devastation of losing a little girl or a young girl? And
excellent.
Sorry, it's such a moment in time where it's so perfect, and it's so amazing. And these are the tears of sadness, but also tears of healing, where it's like I've just gone back to that time where I've gone, wow, that's the moment where my life started to change, but I didn't realize it. It was a real core moment in my life, where I went, wow, I want to be that person. And I think that we bring people into our space like that, where we don't realize as a young girl that I wanted to be that person, and I became that person at some stage, not realizing it through the different events of my own life. How can I help people? I just knew it. I was like, I want to help people. I want to be that person. So I do get teary because I've allowed myself to be vulnerable over these years, because I was very hard. My tears, I swallowed them. And I would have previously have made a joke a few years ago in order to stifle my tears.
The sarcasm.
And, that's what I hope, is that anybody realizing that vulnerability is key in our world. It really is just allowing, and it's an honoring of ourselves, and it's an honoring of opening up our hearts. And I know so many of us definitely struggle with it, where we don't want to allow, ourselves to allow the tears because of the way we've been programmed. It's not something I saw my mom and dad cry at all. They fought a lot. There was a lot of alcohol. My dad abused alcohol in massive ways. And so I never saw them cry, even up until my mom passed over 7-8 months ago, and my dad battled to cry. He would, the tears wouldn't come. He would wail. So my crying was huge for my parents. They didn't know what to do with it. It creates a helplessness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Society has this kind of thing that is, especially tough on men, like of being vulnerable, opening up to your feelings, right?
Yes.
Yes. Not that women don't do it too, obviously, and you've had
absolutely
and put them away, and it's hard to feel them fully, to come.
You're 100% right. And yes, and my husband's going through this process now where, he's just allowing, and he said the same. I want to work with men, Michelle. I want to work with men to help them to allow their hearts to just be, because, there is that persona where men have got to, protective, got to stand up, got to hold it together. The limbic brain is so old that it kicks in, and it's got to be like, no, I've got this. And if we can help that process of healing happen through the intergenerational, the releasing of the intergenerational trauma that we hold on to, because everybody does, I see it so often where when I take clients into their bodies, and I'll say, the anger in your liver, I don't know if this is yours only. And then I'll ask questions of let's ask the energy. Is this your mother's, your father's? This is my mother's. This is my mother's guilt I'm holding on to. This is my mother's shame. They'll get a yes in the moment. And then the client will cry. And I know this through my own journey. Often I've gone, sorry, I almost swore there. Sorry. Okay. I was going to say, shit, man, is this anger can't all be mine. And when I've gone into my body or somebody's helping me in the healing, I get this isn't only yours, it's your mom's, or it's your dad's, or it's my grandfather's, or it's 7 generations back.
Sure.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It can go really far back.
Generational trauma.
Yes.
That can go back for years and years. People talk about that in
We were just talking about this.
Wow, really?
things of that nature too. You know.
Yeah,
It can
generational curses is what we were
reach
talking about
all the way
traumas.
back, and then traumas can be all the way back and still
Right to
come
us.
forward. You know, a little like that Vincent Price movie. We were talking about Vincent Price movies.
We love.
We've been on a kick lately watching the older movies, and it was Haunted Palace, and it was like 150 years later, everybody comes back, and then they're in the same scenario of
Yeah.
there's a evil person, but that's completely unrelated. So sorry,
No, but it's
a little
true.
diversion, but there it is. So you saw this clairvoyant, and she helped you
Helped
face
you
these
out.
things,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then how do you go from that to helping other people as far as in a metaphysical way? The Council of Eight, we definitely want to talk about.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So what happened was when I started counseling, I then started to feel and hear different spirit come through, like different souls. And one client that I had, that it was so you have those moments where the change starts to happen, where you start to realize, or I started to realize, like, I'm more than this. I'm sensing more. I'm seeing more than just doing the talk therapy. And I got shown this little baby in a white dress. And I said to her, and I didn't know this at the time, I said to her, have you lost a baby? And she went, what do you mean? How do you know this? And I said, I'm being shown a little baby with a white dress. And she said, yes, Michelle, I had a stillbirth.
Oh goodness.
Wow.
And that was the dress she was in. I mean, it was, I got to see the little baby, the color of her hair and everything. And I was like, whoa, there's more than this. And then, like I say, there was this friend who was my counselor, and she was very much into metaphysical, and she introduced me to Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, and I used to drive her mad, the good old CD days, the CDs in the cars. And and I was a sales rep, so I used to listen to a lot of the CDs, and I'd always phone my friend Vicky, and I'd be like, Wayne Dyer says this and this and this, and I don't understand it. And she'd like say, okay, Michelle, just calm down. This is what he means. And like sometimes 5-10 times a day, Wayne Dyer says this and Louise Hay says this. And I'm always so grateful to those two people, including my friend Vicky, who just really got me onto this knowing of that there's more. But the conscious mind kicks in. So that's what happened. My conscious mind it was my default. It was my default. Plus the programmings and conditions of being a reborn Christian. There can't be more. This is what the Bible says. So that was my default button. And plus my parents, my mom specifically, bless her cotton socks, but she just, she's like, you're speaking to the devil if you're speaking to other people, Michelle. I'm like, okay, Mom. So that was also part of the non-acceptance. I just wanted my parents to believe in my abilities and gifts, but I had to keep bringing it back to myself for me to start believing it, despite what anybody says or thinks or believes about me, which I'm still working on because I'm a people pleaser. And
I completely understand everything you're saying, because I just went through this transformation a few years back and started to get a hold of my own abilities and grow more and actually see more and feel more. And I just can't.
That's absolutely true.
I have to fix everybody. I have to fix everything.
She is.
Oh, yes. I get that.
Everyone happy.
Yes, I get that.
To the point that she's hurting herself in some situations, so she's working on that, and it's helped certainly with the psychic abilities. To the point about Wayne Dyer, my real quick story. I don't know, it's about 15 years ago. I was into reading one of his books, and I think I had an audio book and was driving around a lot, like you mentioned, very similar, listening to it. It was about manifestation. I forget the title of the book, but it was a wonderful book. And I was trying to get a different job. I was working, but I wanted this way better job. I ended up getting this job I just wasn't qualified for, but they ended up training me, and everything in the book worked wonderfully. So Wayne Dyer, rest in peace.
Yeah.
And it helped really kickstart my career.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. And those are the pioneers that I think in the field of, there was, they were pioneers, and the world was ready to embrace it. But we as humans, I think we like to be stuck. It's just easier when we're sort of, for me, most certainly my resistance, putting up my walls was easier for me because it's what I knew, as opposed to, I now know that my light was always so bright as a young girl, but just based on what I'd gone through, and I was suppressed a lot of the time. We grew up in an era of being told to be quiet, and not find our voices. So to answer your question, Chris, slowly but surely the connection started to happen, and I started to see more and sense more, and my third eye started to open more, and I started to feel more when, I would, let's say, be in a happy space, and all of a sudden somebody would, come into our home, and my body would start to quiver, and I'd be like, whoa, I was fine 2 seconds ago. And then also things would blurt out of my mouth and it could be like really something that was angry. And I think to myself, I wasn't thinking that 2 seconds ago. And I was picking up on people's thoughts, and that still happens, and so I started to open myself up to the fact that there was more. And slowly but surely, through reading different books, through bringing different people into my space, this, Kristen was saying earlier on, the synchronicity started to align. And then I did a channeling workshop with a shaman, and we had to take a photo of somebody who had passed over, and then in the group we would read the energy of the photo. And again, I was starting to develop my abilities because I was always spot on. And you could see people in the whoa, those moments of whoa. But I played small. I like to play small.
Mm-hmm.
It was easier for me. It was, again, just like, no, really? I don't have that ability. And
you were naturally gifted.
Absolutely. And thank you. And I believe that everybody is born with this knowing. I use the example of nobody, excuse me, when I was in my mother's stomach, told me as a baby how to grow fingernails, how to grow eyes, how to grow ears. We grew from this knowing, from the source, from this divine, from whatever we want to call it, our inner God. And then we come into the world and we just pick up on, the energies of being in the stomach, being in the womb, and then our parents' programmings, belief systems, teachers, anybody that comes into our space, we have those very real feelings. But I know that's why for me it's like, how do we activate everybody's inner light? And it is through the work of releasing the grief, the trauma, because in releasing the trauma, activating or figuring out what the story is that we're holding on to, we grieve in those moments. So as time has gone on, we then immigrated from South Africa to New Zealand almost 6 years ago. And somehow the universe knew that was going to be a part of my soul knew that it was going to be a part of my growth. I came here and I fell to pieces, guys. I went into a massive depression, and my husband had come here 4.5 months before to get a job to be sponsored into this country. And I went through a lot of extreme trauma. I don't know if you know anything about South Africa, but South Africa has a lot of crime. And we were involved in armed robbery. We had guys in our home. My daughter and dad were in a hijacking, guns held to their heads.
Oh my goodness.
We were in a shopping center. So I'm just sharing this. We were in a shopping center and 19 guys came in with AK-47s. And when you get a gun put to your head and gone, get down, my daughter was 2. Like, oh my God. The body doesn't know how to release because you're just holding on, fight, flight, fright. Right. Now, a lot of that was happening through everything else in my journey of releasing my old trauma. But I did not know, even doing the therapy work I was doing, that I was suffering from PTSD, and so was my husband. So we came to this country. My husband put his head down, had to get a job in order to get sponsored because that was the choice that we left South Africa. But, it was the unraveling of leaving our family behind, my kids, all the cousins, just everything that we knew to be true. The wealth, we were financially wealthy and well off. We had our own businesses. Ego. We had to go through a few ego deaths, but the grieving was massive for me. We moved into these mountains. Queenstown is beautiful. It's like a little mini Colorado, I believe. And those mountains hold energy, but they help you to heal. You either run like, whoa, this is too much. I crumbled without a doubt with dealing with my own trauma of immigrating. And I just kept saying to my kids on a daily basis when I was crying, Mom's sad, guys, but I'll get better. And I'd get up every day, I'd wash my hair, brush my teeth, cook. So I was depressed in one way, but I kept going. And I just feel that we've all got that inside of us. You know, even though we're in the swamps and we're in the mire, we've got that knowing inside of us to keep going, to keep pushing through. And fast forward to, you know, just letting go of so much. And my husband was like, who are you? I don't know who you are. I left this bright, happy, shiny woman, and you came to New Zealand and fell to pieces. But it was a great part of my evolution, I believe, because letting go again of what I was holding on to and storing, I just started to open up differently. I then met a woman, beautiful synchronicity, who was from California, who was visiting New Zealand, and she was holding a course called Integrated Quantum Medicine. Well, did that not just project me into the quantum field of all? That's when I started learning about past lives, and I facilitated in terms of helping her bring people into her course. And that's where I started opening myself up to a different level. And it's almost like I can't explain it because it was so experiential, but it was massive at the same time. What do you mean in past lives that happen?
Right. You know, it's like science fiction, and then you get into it a little further and you see results.
Yes.
You research and help you to grow.
100%. Yes. Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
Our friend Anne-Marie Young, she's very into this as well. And she talks about the ego deaths and how many you have to go through in life. And you really do. You have to, people don't understand that. You have to just get through it. You have to cut that off, start again.
Yep. And the dark night of the soul, it's a very, very real truth in my understanding and perception. And, but yes, you know, when you experience past lives and you're in a setting where people start to say things and you start to feel the energy where, you know, a story starts to unfold and then your heart starts to go doof, 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 doof. This is real, man. Like I was in that past life with you, and you're in the energy, you're in the field.
So are you feeling it on a different level? So you know that it's real because you're getting that. You feel it internally.
Yes. For me, it's very much in the feelings. I always, you know, it's even when I went into that the weekend retreat and the counselor helped me to feel about knocking over and killing the young woman. I'd never truly felt it. So often we talk from our heads and our bodies are disconnected in my understanding of the work I do. So it's bringing people into alignment and you know, some trauma is very, very, very intense. When somebody's been raped, they obviously don't want to go into the feeling of how it felt. And of course, you know, because the story replays itself, but it's just allowing our bodies to express. And what I mean by that is I was fortunate enough to obviously be in and grow up in South Africa where there's wild animals. Have you ever seen a buck or a lion chase a buck and the buck gets away?
Yes.
It quivers. It quivers. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to munch grass again. We don't do that as human beings. We're not taught that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Chris,
you know, so
story with that. But
okay. Sorry. I just love. Yeah. So please just stop me.
I'm actually saying we understand exactly what you're saying because Chris says something similar to that as well.
Awesome.
Are you talking about the
lion
and aliens?
No, I'm talking about the lion that's waiting and the gazelle. And the gazelle just goes and munches the grass and has no idea.
Oh, has no idea that the lion's there waiting.
Yes.
We use this in reference to kind of more nefarious things than what we're talking about right
It's not
now.
nefarious, but
Yes.
it's true.
It is.
Well, you know,
It's a
my
perception because
understanding
I'm sorry, the
Yes.
human perception is just so small.
Mhm.
You know what we can actually perceive, and there's so much more going on. You know, I'm sure you believe this than what we see, feel. No, it's just like there's other things we couldn't call them dimensions. We can go into, you know, mathematical theory where the numbers start to add up, that there's all these dimensions and that sort of thing. But it's really just like there's more here with us than we really know. And I
100%. Yes.
Definitely.
And yes, I can't say yes enough, you know, and it can be scary at times, especially when people are starting to pop, you know, where the universe wants us to know that there's more that's out there. And that was part of my journey. I started bringing people into my space, like my physical space, that are connected to the Galactic Federation of Light. And I could feel me going, whoa. And you know, my friends would start to share stories and it was like my mind would go, too much, it's too much. Like my conscious mind, no. What do you mean there's more? What do you mean there's ET? And it's fascinating because my husband, I mean, his mom was out there in the field. She was abducted by aliens in the 60s or 70s. So he's known about this stuff. And, you know, when I was studying IQM, I'd come and get so excited. I'd go, oh, my God, I met an ET today. And he'd go, oh, and? What's your point, Michelle?
I heard you mention Galactic Federation there.
Yeah.
And we've definitely had guests on it that have talked about that, and I've read a lot about the Galactic Federation, you call it of light, but I hear that those words used a lot. And I am sure there's got to be some percentage of our audience out there that goes, wait a minute, I don't know what that is. You're getting too, like you mentioned, like too heady for me or something, but maybe you could break that down for us a little bit, just maybe for them, and what's your experience with that?
So I'm still learning about them, and I'm still learning about what their energy is about. So I could share perhaps like what I've come to experience in the last week or so when a friend hypnotized me. And I feel like I don't have enough information about the Galactic Federation of Light, because it's just like they're out there and I'm still here. And my friend Jill Cole, who's also based in New Zealand, I'd highly recommend you guys sort of chatting to her, because she's part of that team, and her stories are phenomenal. I could speak about the Council of Eight, who perhaps that might, I could speak about them more confidently. Would that be okay? Because
that's wonderful. That's
okay, great. Okay. So they started talking to me differently to when a client was sitting in front of me and I was connecting with loved ones who had passed over. Because when I, as a medium, you know, I would start to share stuff with the client that the spirit of the loved one passing over was sharing with me, and the client would say, how do you know that stuff? And I'd say, well, your mother or father or grandmother or brother or sister is sharing this with me. And they sometimes come through as the personality of the person, or how they looked. They would show me how they looked, you know, like big bright earrings, or, you know, jewelry that they would make, or knitting or whatever. So when the Council of Eight started to connect with me, it just felt like it was a different energy. It felt like I went into a different zone, a different dimension. And my body, my hands and my body started to quiver differently, as opposed to when I'm with a client that, again, I would be connecting to a loved one who had passed over. And then I started asking, well, who are you? This feels different. And they kept showing me an 8. And I was like, oh, well, yes, of course I love 8. You know, it's the infinity. And they kept saying, we're a council. We're the Council of 8. We're beings of light. We're ascended masters. We've once walked the earth planes. And then they started showing me that they were different energies, in the energies of Gandhi, Mother Mary, Nelson Mandela. And I would get excited. Oh, my God, Nelson Mandela, of course, thank you. Coming from South Africa, Princess Diana.
Yeah.
And I kept, again, consciously questioning. well, why me? Why are you choosing me? I'm little Michelle. And they kept saying, Michelle, there's work for you to be done. We want to talk through you. And I would say to him, could you keep it simple? And could you keep it easy? And could you keep it light? Because that's what I want to share. That's how I understand. So that's why it's almost like the Galactic Federation of Light is like, whoa, out there. And the information that they, are giving to friends of mine, my head still goes, yo, that's a lot, man. Like how? Having said that, though, this week, because I kept saying to the Council of Eight, show yourselves to me. Like because I'm visual. I want it. Can you just show yourselves? And in this hypnosis session, I had this very last week, actually, last week Monday. I started to laugh, and I got into their 15th dimension and into their spaceship. And they showed me how they look. They showed me how they're sitting around a table. There's a commander. So I've started to see light codes, and they showed me how their light codes are around on their necks. They've got these big, beautiful big heads. And they showed me that their spaceship was 400 football fields big.
Oh, my goodness.
And in this session, the Galactic Federation of Light came, and it was so bright. It was almost like I couldn't look. And I kept saying, well, how? And I was just laughing. I was laughing in the session and laughing because the energy is so high. And if we, what am I trying to say? Our vibration as human beings and light is so high, but naturally, being a human, we feel the intensity of so much here on earth because, there's the duality of the negative and the positive, the darkness and the light.
Right.
So, but naturally, when we open up our hearts and unconditionally feel love, in my understanding and perception of what I'm learning, we want to hug, we want to touch, we want to love, we want to laugh, we want to feel joy. But life can bring us down. Mm-hmm. So the Council of Eight showed themselves to me, and the Galactic Federation ship came, and it was just so massive. And my head's still trying to figure out who they are, So the light is just so big, and they want more for humanity. They're connecting with many different individuals. The Council of Eight only aren't connected to me. And I feel it's important to say, because I've had people share on my YouTube saying, oh, Michelle, I've also had the Council of Eight. So I'm like, yeah, they're not just my beings of light. They're here to help humans.
Right.
My ego wants to kick in and go, of course.
When you had that experience, especially the first time, were you in like a hypnagogic state, or do you think you physically were in there, like with your human body, or was it just like, a half sleep, half wakening, or a lucid dream? Like, how did it work?
I want to say all of the above. So the first time that they have shown, so I've done quite a few past life regressions and a lot of hypnosis work, and I can go into a hypnotic state very quickly. Even when I channel, I center myself, I close my eyes, because then I'm taking Michelle, the personality, out, and I see this beautiful white light, and it's I let go of this, and I just go out into the field. And it's even now, I can see you guys, I can see myself on the other screen, but I'm out there in the field. But it's like I know I'm having a talk to you. I know I can hear us. I can hear myself, and it's I'm just out there, and that's where
a piece of consciousness of yourself just kind of ascends.
Yes, and it's just a beautiful experience of when we're connecting with beautiful human beings. Where my body starts to quiver initially, and that's where I know I'm sort of going out there. And the energy can be so intense, even when I am lying in a hypnosis space. I have to breathe. In order for the vibration, for my body to handle the vibration of being so out there in the field. And so, yes, all of the above. When they started to connect with me, I started to get cold, and I couldn't understand it. Because again, when I came back into humanness, human Michelle, I would question, well, who are you guys? But then I just started getting messages, slowly but surely. And then they started to show me to write and to start making videos. And when I watch them or when I read the writings, it's not me, because they have so much, they have such a wealth of knowledge. And when I'm connecting with clients, they are sharing things where clients will say to me, Michelle, like they'll come back 3 to 6 months later and they'll say, Michelle, the Council of Eight shared this and this and this. And it's happened. Now, we're all interconnected. So for me, of course, we're making it happen, yet we're getting the information that's coming through in order to help us to help it to happen. And I don't know if that makes sense in any way, but we're all connected.
Yes.
Yeah, we believe that too. We strongly believe that we're all connected.
Yeah.
You know, this is the way things like, I don't know, telepathy occurs, that there's some kind of connection there. Telepathy is something that's been proved over and over through science. And, you know, science is still catching up, you know, to what's really happening. And we don't totally understand our reality. You know, the nature of consciousness is a very puzzling subject in and of itself. But I love where you're going with this and the lifting of the consciousness. And when you're in that the front of that Council of Eight, I guess you just feel really good and elated and without any negativity, just must fall away.
100%. There's nothing, even if I had to say to you on a human level, no cell in my body feels limp, feels unexpressed. There's just no emotions whatsoever. It's just such a high, intense vibration that I can get very chatty afterwards, you know, and I've come to realize this when I come out, you know, when I come out of a hypnotic state, I take a while to ground myself because I'm like, now I know when I speak light language, I speak it very quickly. And I know when I'm connecting to the Council of Eight, you know, they can speak through me where I'm just going, I can say things like 20 times over that it's just like, doof, doof, like beating a drum. Wow. It's kind of so quick. And whereas if I had to my humanness, that I also connect to elementals. So I whistle a lot in my vibrational healings. And I don't even know how it happens. I've just let it happen, you know. It's because sometimes I'll be walking my dog and my cat, and I'll be like, how come I can't whistle? How come I can't whistle? You know. But as soon as I'm in that space, it just happens organically and naturally. And it's just a different state of being, which is wonderful. And I really truly believe that we've all got that compass, that internal compass, that vault inside of us, that knowing that so many of us are searching for. And I think it's such a wonderful time to be alive, despite these times of massive negativity that we're sensing. But we're uprising from all the negativity to know that there's more and that we are more as human beings and we're deserving of more.
Most definitely. We definitely agree with you. A lot of our audience does as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, if our audience wants to try channeling, I mean, I knew we can help them. We're going to talk about your website and the services you offer in a little bit. But if a person who wants to try to channel themselves and to feel some of this that maybe isn't as naturally inclined, what kind of steps would you give them?
I would, first of all, say movement. Put music on, breath work. Okay, get out of this conscious mind. Not like a love song or, you know, just movement, breathe. I do a lot of breath work, rock and roll. That's it, breathe.
We like heavy metal, so
we do.
Kristen's
yeah, and that's what I do.
She's got the Godsmack going, and
I've got Slipknot going.
Awesome.
all these bands,
Yeah,
and, you know,
but that's what I do to
gets
get
into
my state.
a higher elevated state. So you recommend that, listening to
I would recommend that. Okay, then breathe, then sitting yourself down, taking a few big breaths, and even have a pen and paper and say, who am I? And then just wait. Just wait. Who am I? And even if you keep writing, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And then wait. And then slowly but surely, there's a connection that happens. And even if you start questioning yourself, again, get up and say, I'm not believing this. I'm not believing this shit. Get out your body.
Yeah.
Come on. Michelle says this comes easily. Okay. Then again, just breath work. And in that moment, you may even have a memory or a thought or a story that may even want you to connect to it in terms of the trauma that you're holding on to. Because remember, our body stores memory. Every single cell has a memory, and we've got trillions of cells.
They do. That's been proven. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sitting down, because then I would say to a person, access the frustration, because there's a feeling there. Every time we have a feeling of frustration, irritation, anger, resentment, there's a feeling that our body's holding on to. Well, how can they do it, but I can't? Well, you're going outside of yourself. So bring yourself back. I'm irritated. I'm frustrated. Okay. And then slowly again, come into that space. Okay. Breathe. Alrighty. Who am I? And then just wait, because you will start to slow down in the moment. And as you start to slow down, even if somebody has cards, ask the cards, what is my energy telling me? And then slowly but surely, as you shuffle the cards, okay, help me, guide me. Who am I talking to? But it's the conscious mind that is so strong, in my opinion, that kicks in, that doesn't want us to believe that there is more. So again, it's that bypassing, that default system that we go to, because it's easier to go into lack than to know that there is more. You know, lack for me is a frequency, it's a vibration.
Yes.
And it's a thought process. So it's a way of being that we start to learn by going into our heart space. And this is something else that's just come through to me. Sit and hold your heart and just feel your heart beating when you're calming down. And as your heart is beating, go into a space of gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being alive. Thank you, for body, for allowing me this. And as you start to connect into that beat, you will start to connect to the beat of yourself outside there. It's a different way of being. And some of us might call it trance-like. You know, even as I'm slowing down, I'm starting to hear the messages come through of great question. How can I help? How can I teach people this? And for me, it's very much, if you're holding on in terms of, remember, this is excitement vibration frequency, but anxiety frequency too. It's the same in the body, in my opinion. We attach to it, whichever it may be. Shake, let the body unquiver. And when we allow that unquivering or the quivering, it's then bringing ourselves into a space of calmness, which I don't think a lot of us know how to do that, to be honest. I most certainly am still learning it. I'm still learning to just be into a space of like, okay, how does it feel? And it's a teaching. It's a real teaching. It's like literally getting up in the morning, wiping your eyes, having a few stretches. I wanted to say scratching your nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
it's a habit. You know, it's like it's a teaching every morning. You know, what are we going to do differently? I know meditation, a lot of people turn to meditation, but when we've got a frequency of anxiety running through us, it can be so challenging.
You know, everybody's got anxiety, and obviously there's a huge market in just learn how to relax. I mean, you look at massage therapy, yoga, all these different things. Hey, I got to take a vacation. All these things are all really trying to get people to the moment that you're describing in a state of total calm.
And it depends what's going on in your day. It depends what's going on in your week. You know, if I've had an incredibly busy week and I You know, I'm a mom, a wife, you know, I've got animals. Sometimes I've got to bring myself back. And this is where I come into my therapy room and I just like, and then I'll play some music. I personally love to let my heart feel, in the sense of either laughing or crying. Not good, not bad. It's just like I'll come and I might play a song where I want to connect to my mom or remind me of my mom. And, you know, I think that this is where a lot of times there's an assumption, in my opinion, of bridging the gap between being a medium who's connecting, but also Michelle, who's the human being, who's a daughter who lost a mom, who wasn't able to be there for her when she passed over. So for me, that's where sometimes I go, I see her, I sense her, I talk to her, but Michelle, the daughter, misses her. The physical, emotional little girl misses her terribly, despite our journey together. My parents were my biggest teachers in helping me to learn forgiveness. And so you see how it's so interconnected into the different emotions. And as we release those emotions, those feelings, those very real feelings that we hold on to, we connect more and more and more. And then you have people who are born with the gift. We all are. I just had a lot of chaos going on in my world, so I didn't know that I had it. And that's why I love to help people walk with them on their journey, not fix them, not heal them, walk with them on their journey of self-healing and self-love and activating the inner light.
I have to imagine somebody using the techniques you were describing about getting into the music and then sitting there and ask, who am I? Or you could also write, you know, what is the answer to this thing that's bothering you or something like that, and try to get those kind of connections. When you do talk to spirit, and you know it's a discarnate spirit, is the imagery presented to you like that? Is that imagery, or do you hear the words, or do you see symbols? How does it work for you?
It's imagery, and they talk to me. And what happens is, let's say, for instance, as an example, they may say to the client sitting in front of me on Zoom or in my therapy room, I'm really sorry for the way I treated you, as an example, as a young kid. And I'm able to then connect into the stomach or contract of the client. Then I know that's a very real feeling and experience, that what spirit is saying, there's a connection that needs a healing in that moment for the client that's sitting in front of me, because it's an unconscious feeling that I pick up on. And they will share with me something, you know, a watch. There's a watch that I wanted you to have that's an heirloom. And again, you know, we want to get everything. We want to get all the information. And I know I was like that when I've been for different readings or whatever. But when I re-listen to the replay, there's so much information that I didn't understand in the moment. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'd highly recommend to anybody, whether they want to connect with me or anybody that they're having a reading with, ask to record it. Ask if they do record, because I feel there's so much information that comes through that sometimes only 6 months later, the integration happens where you go, that's what they meant. But, sure. You know, when we're in the conscious space or the conscious mind, we may have knee-jerk reactions, especially when there wasn't a good relationship in the physical world between mother and daughter or mother and son or whatever. You know, they don't want to hear that spirit wants to forgive them or please forgive me. What do you mean? Like, I don't want to hear that. They were arsehole. Their mind will just start going off in some direction. Yes, meanwhile, you're feeding them information from that spirit. And recording is wonderful. That's what's so great about technology today. You know, somebody in the US or Canada or the UK, we've got somebody out there from the UK today.
It's Natalie. Hi, Natalie.
Can connect with you and have a Zoom chat, record it right through Zoom, you know, easily. It's phenomenal and it's wonderful. And often I get asked, like, how do I connect on Zoom? Well, once I'm connected into your field, into your energy and your body, the connection is here. It's right here, right now. And, you know, but again, consciously, we're not taught to be open to everything. Because again, we want to shut down and we want to put up the resistance. And that's where, when I feel into a person's heart center, you know, for me, when the contraction happens, it's so subtle in the moment, but that's where the sadness has been held. And when it starts to expand, I can feel the person's vibration start to lift. And slowly but surely, for me, you know, when people are angry, I was an angry young woman. I was an angry
adult, it was my natural go-to knee-jerk reaction. I'm still working with healing my knees because my knees I always had that knee-jerk reaction from all the stuff that I've gone through, endured, processed. It's not good or bad. It just is. And slowly but surely, as I'm working through it, it's kind of like the realization of like, oh, wow. There was a lot of good, but there was a lot of bad. But underneath the anger, there was a lot of sadness in my world. And that's what I hope that anybody who's listening is that they realize is that anger might be the go-to with somebody, even somebody who has chronic PTSD. Every time they're on, there's a reaction. The limbic brain kicks in, fight, flight, fright. And there might be a projection in that moment of a narcissistic behavior or a volatility or whatever. I know it's not ideal.
Ego wants to survive.
Right. And it's a defense. You
Yes.
get defensive. It's a defense mechanism. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. And I always take a person back to the inner child, the little person. What happened in their world? And I'll get shown, I'm being shown you were 2 years old. And they say, Michelle, I don't remember when I was 2. I say, it's okay. Let's just connect. Bring that little 2-year-old into your heart. And as soon as they do, I just feel the difference. And because then the sadness comes. Because often we're not taught to think about the little 1-year-old or 2-year-old or 3-year-old and or the 4-year-old or the 10-year-old. There's a story that sometimes we don't even have to connect to. It's just connecting into the energy of the little person who felt so alone. It's connecting to the little person who perhaps felt helpless because they heard their parents fighting on the outside. So it's easier to be in contraction. It's easier to hold as opposed to let go. And that's what happens. The body unwinds as soon as we let go.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Awesome.
Do a lot of your clients have, say, non-typical things like maybe not parents, but we'll say, ufological or paranormal experiences as children that causes them trauma later in their lives?
Yes. So what I've discovered, and a few of my clients have had this, actually more than a few, when they've gone through trauma as a young kid, they've brought in an entity, and what we would call, I would term a negative entity. It might be a reptilian. And then they kind of hard throughout their life. They have that anger throughout their life, and they can't understand, or they disassociate, or they push people away. And as an adult, they've brought it in. And then it's where they might create an addiction of drinking, smoking. Again, it's so multi-level because they might have had parents who are alcoholics, drug addicts, addicted to drama. I was addicted to drama.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, goodness. Hold on, folks. She got a little stuck.
Michelle is coming to us from New Zealand.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if she can hear us. It is possible. Right now would probably be a good time to show you her website, which is www.michellecarpenter.co.nz. Oh, okay.
Show your website.
No problem. I'm just bringing up your website. How are you doing? Can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Oh, there we go. The connection's back.
It is. Boy, I think we hit on a hot topic there. I'm going to take that off. We'll show that again in a little bit. And we lost our
Yeah.
What happens if there's no trauma in the child's life? They're very well loved and everything, but there was, I guess, trauma in the house before they moved in. And that negative entity or negative entities would scare or attach themselves, do something to the children. Or
Yeah. So great question. For me, children are very open. Again, we feel so much in the womb. And then we come into this world and feel energy. We feel the emotions of the humans that are our parents or, whoever takes us in. And so in that space of being open, and the conscious mind is still developing as a baby or a little person, they could bring different entities in. And sometimes it may be a little friend that's just popping in. I've had clients where, I'll say, I feel something in your liver. Or I had a client the other day where I said to her, there's something in your neck. And she said, oh my God, Michelle, I've been going for chiropractics years and years and years. And I said, my sense is it's a negative entity. And when we went into her body, we opened up a portal and she had to let this entity go because she pulled it in at the age of 3. And for me, the entity, they got to go back into the light. We come from the light in my understanding and my perception of the work that I'm working with and doing. So it doesn't mean they come from the dark that they've got to go back to the dark, It's like, well, let's send them back to the light. So I ask for the archangels to come in and we send them back. And then we close the portal. And
that's wonderful.
I like that. So you're visualizing or creating a portal in this person, pulling them out and then crossing them. And that brings up another question about a spiritual warfare, because a lot of times people go down this road of like, well, there's the dark entities and there's the good entities, right? But maybe in the scheme of everything, they're just like the lion, again, looking at the gazelle that or antelope that Krista mentioned earlier, that I'll say, because in the lion's perception, he may be evil to the antelope in a way, right? He wants to eat it, but he's just fulfilling his nature. It's his nature.
For sure.
Do you think that's the same thing with something like a reptilian, or what some people toss around, the D word, the dreaded D word, demon? Do you think that that's just their nature, or is there this bigger battle between, the light and the dark going on behind the scenes?
I think it's all of the above, and I think there is this definite light and dark that's playing itself out, and it's playing itself out in the realms of the Cabal, everything else that's happening on Earth right now. And this is just from what I know from the Council of 8 when I've channeled before, and clients ask questions, or when I'm receiving downloads. It's that the uprising is happening. As above, so below. And
that's what my shirt says.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
You can't see it, but that is what it says.
No, amazing. And it's how we attach into it, and I know that I had one attached to me last weekend because and I didn't realize, but my thoughts just started getting so negative. And I was out in town, and I looked at a gang member. Well, I thought or assumed it was a gang member, a guy on a motorbike. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is a gang member. And the next, I started feeling nauseous that day. My thoughts were terrible. And I kept thinking, whoa, what's going on, man? I was in such a high vibe space. And what have I brought in? And then my friend who I showed you, who built this beautiful crystal and mechanical activator.
You guys got to see this soon.
Yeah. Okay. So he popped in and he said to me, "Well, Michelle, you've pulled a negative entity in." And I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." And I could just feel, I felt heavy, and that's what they do. And I was eating a lot and but I was nauseous and I was just feeling off kilter. It was just weird.
How did you prove that? Just on your own? How do you?
Yes, we work together, but I muscle test. So I've got the 2 O-rings, or like kinesiologists will, have you been to a kinesiologist? They use your body to muscle test. I muscle test with 2 O-rings, or you'll see some people use their fingers. They get a yes and a no. And I just ask questions. I sit and I go into a real safe space, and I ask if I was psychically attacked. And if I get a yes, I just clear the energy. Breathe it out, breathe it out, breathe it out. Okay, then I break through. And then I ask, and then I clear it. And this is what we're taught in IQM. And I think that's what we don't realize, is that we have the power. I was saying earlier on how we all have the light. We're activated. We have that compass, that inner light inside of us. But we're powerful human beings. So it's just like, okay, dude, thanks for coming in. But no, you're not freeloading here. It's kind of like hanging on your tree, like, whoa, I'm going to swing on your tree right now, Chris. It's like, no, dude, you're not welcome. Yeah, like off you go, but thank you, but no thank you. So we did a clearing together, and my friend reminded me that when we are of the light and our vibration is very high, that's when we create those beautiful synchronicities, and they happen. I don't know about you guys, but I'm realizing that I have to be so consciously aware of my thoughts. I'm still working with my unconscious feelings, being a little girl, being a teenager. That's a continuous process. But if I think a negative thought about something or somebody, or create a drama, like I said earlier on, that's my go-to. It happens very quickly, man.
that same negative vibration. Totally agree. I relate to everything you're saying.
Yeah, we both
right
do.
now. And our questions about the childhood thing is because we both had haunted childhoods, and I think that it affected our lives throughout our lives. And we also noticed with our guests, and we've talked to literally hundreds of people on our shows, and it's almost all of them that are involved in some way have had some weird ufological or paranormal, should be like shadow people, things like that, or like alien visitations when they were young. It's somewhere around probably 97, 98%, at least when we've asked. I'm sure some people we didn't always ask, but we always ask now. And I know you mentioned you had stuff in your childhood as well. So
yes, I remember the paralysis. Did you guys ever have that, where there was so much fear, like
Yes.
And I always remember being in the dark, and I couldn't wake up. I couldn't find my voice. Like something was chasing me.
I saw the old hag. I'm sure you've heard of old hag syndrome.
Yes.
That's when you're in that sleep paralysis state, and there's this kind of archetype of a crone that petrifies you. Some people just call them sleep paralysis demons. I think Emery Young likes that term. But I actually saw the crone, and I wasn't aware of the phenomena. It was a long time ago, and then found out later that is also seen by people for hundreds of years, and it's documented thousands of years. I don't know why. It is like she is real or something, and there's more to it than just the feeling of paralysis because your body hasn't woken up yet, and the chemical reactions that are associated with it. There's more. There can be more to it, in fed experiences as well. So I know those things are related. If I don't mind, do you see anything around Kristen and I hate to put you on the spot like this, but with just not a real session, because I feel like we need to book a session.
So would you be okay with that, Kristen? I feel it's important to ask you if you don't mind.
No, this is fine, thank you. We just don't like to put the guests on the
No, I don't mind at all. So okay. All right, would you like I have complete honesty and openness. Is that okay to just share what I'm receiving right now? So when I feel into your energy and your space around your heart and throat, there's a real connection of still holding back. And I've been shown that this is past life. This is Kristen.
Okay.
Sorry, you, Kristen, are you okay for me to do you first?
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel around your throat area, you still have a lot of old energy that needs to be released, and it's very connected into your sacral. Your sacral, it's like your bones of your. I keep feeling like there's a brittleness, and I speak in symbolisms, but the brittleness has got to do with your mom. I'm being shown your mom's energy, and there's a connection that it's brittle, or it was brittle, or there's so as a little girl, I feel like you kind of like were always on, like, okay, what's next coming? Like, it's okay, I'm gonna smile, I'm gonna be happy, because when I'm happy, then maybe I'll be liked more. And I can feel this in your stomach as this information is coming through, because there's like a contraction, but I'm feeling it in your head. And I'm just keep asking this of definitely Kristen, so that because you're very connected, the two of you, you're very interconnected. And but I can feel there's a vibration of stuff going on in your jaw, and you're a runner, meaning that when stuff, like, this is just what's sitting in the unconscious of you. Like when it gets intense, it's like, whew, got to get out of here.
Yep.
too much.
I'm
gonna
out.
run.
It's usually what I say.
That's her phrase.
I'm
Yes.
out.
That's what I'm
Yes. Negative entities, no, but you are receiving a deep connection into your heart space, and they're showing me it's unwinding, and they're showing me you're a massive big ship with this beautiful big sail, and the wind is taking you into newness, and it's beautiful. Trust it. Trust the newness that's coming. You've got to work, when I do this, you've got to work with your frustration though, around Chris. There's something around.
This is perfect. You're spot on.
Okay, so it's like there's a disconnect that happens sometimes, and this is where I'm being shown right now that this is information that I'm not going to divulge to your audience because it's too personal. But it's into your jaw. So this is just how I feel into the vibration of your expansion. So what they want to say to you is stop stomping your feet and having a pity party. Okay.
Come on.
And open up more. Because it's kind of like, like that's the energy at times, not all the time, okay?
No, but I'm tense sometimes like that. And pity party is exactly what I call it when I go and have a pity party by myself.
Yeah. So, so it's great to have it in my understanding of doing the work. Have the pity party. I do too. Get it out your body.
I was going to say that earlier to you. I'm like, it's a pity party. That's what we call it.
Yes. And, I feel it's important to have those moments of being in victimhood because then you're relating to what it used to be like. So have it, acknowledge it, be aware of it and say, okay, it's done. And then it's like the adult's got to step in and go, okay, I'm done now. But give that little girl space. Give that little girl space in your heart is still at times pretty sunken in, and they want you to start going, no, your light is brighter. It's time to share your light, and it's brighter than you can ever imagine.
Wow. Well, thank you very much.
It's stepping into it because you're connecting more and more into the all that is. And they're rooting for you, and they're saying, beat to your own drum, not anybody else's. Beat to your own rhythm because you've got your own rhythm, and they're saying getting into your hips. Dance, and like you need more sensual music is what I'm being shown, so that we can help you in your hips because there's a real vibration, and I'm being shown lower back.
Yes.
Like it's kind of like that brittleness, like it's stuck.
Okay, because I've had back surgery, so that's what has happened. And they messed it up the first time, and I've had 2 others to be fixed, and they didn't fix it, right? They couldn't fix it. They went into the nerve the first time, and so.
This is connected into your knee, as you're saying that. There's something in your right knee that we need to just help you release. And it's around your father, like there's something around, and I can feel your heart as I'm saying this right now, but huge, like I use the words abandonment or rejection, and I can feel your stomach right now, but it's, that's how I feel, that contraction happens. And I just want to hold you right now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You're spot on. Thank you.
So they're just saying that's enough for now. Like it's like we're sort of opening up an old wound, and they want you to know that they're holding you and they've got you.
Thank
you. It's time that you
And for those of you listening, just lift the finger and said,
I can relate. You, man, what do you mean? I don't have my shit together.
Thank you so much from my heart, really.
My pleasure, my honor. Chris, would you like me to connect with you?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. They're showing me that you're highly evolved, okay, that you've come into this world, and it's like you still put your walls up. You put your walls up and your resistance, but they want you to know that your soul is wanting more for you. And it's kind of like this, but as your soul is wanting more for you, you get so frustrated with people because it's like, why aren't you getting it, people? Why aren't you getting it? Come on, it's time to wake up. And they're saying that you are so gentle in who you are. And in this involving, as well as the evolving, they show me there's a bit of a gape, there's a bit of an open wound as well that is starting to heal. And this has got to do with real deep-seated trauma that you are either not wanting to share just yet, or too scared to share, or it's quite open. And I can feel this around your sacral area, like just above your pubic bone. They're saying that you are highly, highly, highly creative, and your skill set is more than you can ever imagine. So as you're opening up your third eye, stop doubting yourself. Just stop, because the world is waiting for your magic. It's different. It's different to Christians. It's like different. And they're saying that it's time for you to introduce more color into your life, like more happiness, more vibration, more joy. And it's very interconnected into your root chakra as well. So what they're showing me, as a little boy, you were very soft, very gentle, very kind, very loving, but it was suppressed. It was suppressed. It was suppressed. And if I may share, because I know you shared with me that you had hurt yourself yesterday, so can I bring that into what
Sure,
I'm...
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I've had a lot of body pains lately. I think it's arthritis, but
okay, it's like I feel it in your spine, like your lower, like around about, I'm being shown your sort of T12, like your T11, T12, and then going into your lower lumbar and into your knees, but it's the energy stuck in the back of your neck here. And I've just been shown pressure, like you've had so much pressure your whole entire life. And I can feel this in your heart right now. Like that's what I want to do, is just help you to breathe and also just help you to navigate, because I feel it also in your diaphragm. So the arthritis is old anger that I'm being shown right now, and it's connected to father lineage, but mother not feeling loved by, like you weren't understood because you were so soft and so gentle. Do you have siblings? Like I'm being shown something to do with a brother or an older sibling.
Younger from second marriage. So
Okay.
I have siblings. And
okay.
Two of them.
So this has got to do with your the energy I'm feeling, the intensity of the arthritis, because it's kind of like this. It's like stuck. It's stuck in your veins. It's stuck in your, I don't know why. I do know why, but your bile, like your gallbladder, your liver. It's like, oh, damn it. And it's like we want to unleash that to help your lower back, because the fall yesterday was it really was it's an old pressure. It's an old pressure of this suppression. Like if you look at my face, like I overexpress to show the intensity of what you're holding on to. And it's not all yours. They want you to know it's not all yours. It's connected to biological dad, biological mom. Like that's what I'm being shown. There's something to do with either the word I'm being shown is you feel like you've been fostered, like abandoned so many times, like, nah, I might as well just have landed up in a foster home because you people don't really give a shit. But it's just an old feeling. So I'm expressing it. They want you to know the way I'm expressing it is the old feeling of that the sadness. It's deep sadness, man. Like I express it as anger, but it's like I said to you earlier on, it's deep sadness, and I can feel this in your stomach. Like your indigestion is like it doesn't know what to do. It's kind of like ping pong ball. You know the old ping pong, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That's how the energy's sort of going in your stomach, and I keep getting like either you maybe had lower pains when you were a kid, or you had they're saying that you were so driven to be masculine and dominated to be masculine in the suppressive energy that you're actually not that person. You're so gentle and so kind, and you're here to help humans tap into that gentleness and that kindness, because you know all souls are equal and all souls are gentle, but you're evolving and you have a very strong connection to Egypt, and I'm getting Ireland, Scottish descent, but there's a connection. It's kind of like you're connected to elementals. That's why you resonate with nature so much. Like nature's just so you, man. Like you, and the elementals want to talk to you. They want to talk to you, but we need to help you. Just, and I'm saying we need. Sorry, that's wrong of me to say that. They're like, it's kind of like that old frustration that's been held in your sacral, your root chakra needs to be unveiled. It needs to be released. So. And I'm sorry, this is how it comes through, but the honesty of it is like, it's kind of like your balls need to drop into you. Like, like, come on, you've got this, but not masculine intended. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, let it release, and your body will start to release. Your back will start to, like that giving, that happening yesterday of hurting your back was to say, you know what, Chris, take time to go in. Take time to go in. It's kind of like your jaw as well. Do you grind at night, or do you did you as a young kid? Okay.
Sometimes, yeah.
So, but that's very connected into the back of your neck. The pressure. I keep being shown pressure, like driven. And they want you to know that everything is starting to unveil. They even said, because you discussed early on about YouTube, that it's that know that it's your thoughts and your words as to how you are creating. Your thoughts and words. And know that your time is accelerating. Like Kristen is the gentle one, like the ship they're showing me, and she's like, she's going to get us, she's like cruising. And as she's cruising, she's the one that's going, we've got this. It's happening. Come on. And you're going, come on.
That is definitely
shit, Kristen, stop it, Kristen, come on. And you're expending yourself. You're putting too much of the, and for me, universal energy is like this. It's always gentle. I'm speaking to myself, guys. I don't have all my shit together. Please know that. So when we're in the lack,
none of us really do. So
yeah, when we're in the lack,
secret.
We've got to sit and go, okay, show me differently, create differently, because I know that I'm more than this, in my opinion. So they're saying trust your inner heart, because it's starting to open up, and you have such wisdom inside of you. It's you're not accessing it in the way that you know how just yet. Your creativity art. I'm just being shown art. Yeah. Like your third eye is, they're giving you the information, but they want you to put your art out into the world.
Well, that is perfect.
Perfect.
Yes. That's spot on. This whole idea of the show and everything is my creative outlet. That's what I've talked about on the show many times, that I need one. If I don't have a creative outlet of some kind, then I start to go a little crazy. So you're absolutely 100% right. And I'm always like, I got to get this done, to do all this stuff. Yeah, that totally is me. So for the people listening in the audience, that's 100% spot on. As far as being the sort of old soul thing, I've been called that by how many people on the show. I'm sure some of the people watching right now have heard me referenced as an old soul, and I'm like, really? I guess I'm old. I don't know what that means, but it kind of sounds like what you're saying. With the parent stuff, I can tell you that you're like almost there. It's a little bit of a flip, and this will make sense to what you said. Is I kind of felt that abandonment and things. Both of my parents are passed, but I felt like that for a long time, and have recently, like as in the leading months here, since like June, like really realized that that was not at all the case. That it was like super loved, and I didn't see it as much the way I should have. So I've had to come to those realizations and deal with it, which has been a lot mentally, if that makes sense.
It's huge. And I can, when I feel the old trauma as you're sharing your story, I could feel it now coming up in your conscious mind. So that's how I know that, that there's what I would call work to be done, in terms of helping you to release those feelings of abandonment or rejection or whatever they show up. It's a feeling within the body, and when we access that feeling and we open up the heart space and allow the vulnerability, thank you, it's the releasing happens. And I use music. I use a lot of music in my connections with, because sometimes I can feel like people are like trying to hold on and they'll sing a song to me and then I'll play music and then, or I play a song and then next minute the songs resonate to help the person release whatever they've got to release within their heart space. Because our hearts just hold such a coherence, such a vibration, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got your knees. You've got to help the energy to go down your knees.
My knees.
Yeah, and not Kristen, Chris. Chris, you hold it. Yeah,
part of it.
It's like you're off balance.
I feel like I'm getting older. Real quick.
I'm trying to get to the
Stephen
comments.
asked if you're from South Africa, but you're from New Zealand.
No.
But originally from South Africa.
But you were from South Africa before. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes. Just wanted to hit
if he is South African, it's like then I'll say my have a lekker day, man. A lekker day is very up and upbeat and vibrational in South African terms. It's like, have an awesome day, guys. But I've softened my since being here in New Zealand because they're like
Well, you should hear how we talk around here.
Yeah,
we're in New England.
New England's terrible, like most terrible.
We talk about stuff like that. We work hard at not carrying that through the podcast and video cast. Ken from the Wizard's Table says, I believe they are both old souls.
Thank
you. Yep, Anne-Marie agrees with that. And how you doing, Ken? He's a good friend of ours, as is Anne-Marie.
And his show's on right after ours. At
I don't know if he has
PM,
today, but if you do, it's the Wizard's Table. Look for it on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Show. Yeah. And you know what? On that, I think we're all old souls. Our blueprint has everything in it. Everything. What we would call the Akashic records.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just discovering, it's discovering that knowing, tapping back into that knowing of who we are, our inner light. We're all here to shine, man. All of us. Let's activate it. Let's build it.
This is awesome.
Yes,
I got to tell you, we're both blown away with your readings, and I want people to know how they can get in touch with you. And I'm going to bring up your website. So your website is www.michellecarpenter, as you would expect it to be spelled, .co.nz, because you're in New Zealand now.
That's correct, yeah. Excuse us, Zealous. There's something, we're busy changing websites and something happened. So I don't know why I've got the name Zealous. Maybe I need to look into that. Maybe I was a Greek goddess or something.
Because you are a goddess, girl. My goodness.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you, Bunny.
And it's a great website. You've got an area for spiritual mediumship, which would be I imagine you talk with people's relatives and that sort of thing that are passed or loved ones. And then there's an area for grief and trauma that we talked about on the show today, to help people deal with that and move past it so they can live better lives. And then there's an area with the Council of Eight too. Mm-hmm. People can go and talk to the Council of Eight through you, which are again angels, ascended masters, beings of light who once walked the earth planes. And when we say ascended masters, if that is a new term to you, it is people who have passed on that were just great. I mean, people think like Gandhi would have been like an example of an ascended master.
Like she said, Nelson Mandela,
like people like that, which is fantastic. And then most of us can't pick up the phone and do that. So hey Nelson,
yes. And just to let people know, in one session, all of the above can happen. I've kept it separate in case somebody just wants to obviously connect with a loved one who's passed through. Passed through. That is interesting that I even said that. But it can be in one session, where I might say to a client, the Council of Eight have got some words for you, and I'll close my eyes and then channel them directly. And then in an hour, it's amazing how much releasing can happen in an hour where the grief and trauma is really dealt with, But often I would say to anybody that wants to book a session, I dive deep. And sometimes, I'm not the kind of therapist who goes, unless you're going through some extreme trauma, I'll say, let's book a session next week or the following week. But I'm here to hopefully teach empowerment, not like when they say, Michelle, what do you think? No, what do you want? Sit with it. Let the information process, let your body process. And it might be next week, or it might be the following week, or it might be a month later that somebody wants to book a session or click in again. And I just know that we're all brave, courageous people. And thank you for allowing me to really share and express my journey of trauma and grieving. And the grieving continuously happens on weekly, daily basis sometimes. It's like when we lose our car keys, that's a loss, and it might cause a stress response. We lose our glasses. But it's very much about just allowing everything to happen in a moment in time. And I work in the present moment. Sometimes a past life comes through. I'll say, oh, you've lost your voice because, oh my God, I'm feeling that your throat was slit. And people go, oh my God, what? Yeah, just feel it. Breathe it out. Breathe it out. We don't get stuck on the story. Happened.
Real quick, I just wanted to ask you, could you please, for our audience, break out what did you call that? The triangle?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's right. We wanted to
show everyone
this is so cool.
Oh, now your friend made it.
My friend made it, and
Yep.
He gets the visions, and his brother put it together, and it's brass and copper, and each crystal has these are all being put together in the different sizes. But it's just, we did a whole activation yesterday and clearing for Earth, and we actually saw spirals in between here. It was just profound. So he's let me use it in my therapy room for the next few months.
It's amazing.
It is awesome. And for people who are just listening, because this will become a podcast, I just wanted to point out to them that this is like a pyramid made of like tubing, I guess, like a metal tube.
It's all tubing, brass and copper tubing. But isn't it amazing? Doesn't matter which angle you look at it, there's triangles, hey?
Yes, it's like triangles within triangles. It's really impressive. It's about the size of a chandelier and contains, looks like one each corner, 5, 6 crystals.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. 4, 5, 6, correct, yeah. Quartz crystals.
Pieces of quartz crystal, which are beautiful. And it looks intense. It's very cool.
And it's kind of when I hold it, my vibration goes.
I can't imagine.
Right in the heart center. So it's very, very beautiful. And he's building spiral ones. He's so out there, and it's amazing. And there's something that I just wanted to relate back to childhood. Sorry, I know, are we over time? Hey, is that okay?
We have all the time you want.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that, when we pick up these negative entities, or we pick up on whatever we pick up, so often I'm finding that so many of us who are opening up in our own way, we felt so alone or lonely as children. And because we weren't perhaps allowed to express ourselves or shine our light or whatever the childhood programmings are. But I want people to really know, because I've got a Council of 8 gathering once a month, the last Monday, which is your Sunday in the States of every month, which is on my website. And it's bringing people who are like-hearted together, open-hearted together. And I think we've got enough like-minded people out there. Let's bring the open-hearted people, and that's just how I feel. It's like, and they do a group channeling, but I want everybody to know we're not alone. I've most certainly often, Kristen, you and I were talking about how I'm most certainly learning to not be liked. And it's still hard for me because I want to be liked. I want to be, and not judged. And let's all just come together to hold each other and to, that's my hope, is to activate our inner lights, and let's all just find each other and support one another in compassion and kindness in these times than anything else, because compassion, kindness, empathy goes such a long way.
It really does.
And love is why we are here. Like I started this ages ago, love is why we are here. I don't know what the hell that means. I'm still figuring it out, even in my marriage. But I most certainly know it with my kids and my animals. Like, it's just unconditional, you know. My husband, we're still working on that.
But that's what a relationship is as well.
Exactly.
It has its challenges where
Yes.
it's a little easier with a cat. I gotta admit.
Yeah. What's weird is I actually was going to say that before you. I think you meant that, though. I don't know. So.
Oh, funny. And you know what? I think that's also the best thing is if we can just learn to laugh at each other and not take each other personally. That's what my husband and I are realizing. It's like, did you really mean that? No, I'm not too sure. Just, let's just walk away right now because I need to breathe. You're annoying me. Oh, funny.
I love it. I told Chris that I need a she shed. I don't know.
Oh, I love that. Yes. I love that.
I want to be creative and do my stuff out by myself and, my own space.
I love that.
So I don't know if you know about Pinterest. I have like boards of the yin yang, and it's one of them is called That's What She Shed.
I love that.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that's going to be my creative space. And I think we're going to start making those, what you have, because we have a lot of those crystals and things.
We love crystals.
Beautiful.
We have copper, and Chris makes some really good dowsing rods. So we have.
I do. I can make dowsing rods out of Carpenter.
Oh, let me know, please. I'd love to buy. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, at some point we'll have a site up that we can buy stuff from. If we can figure that out. But
email address, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Chris, just being connected to elementals, they want me to share with you that spend more time in nature and like you they want to connect with you, the elemental beings. They're in the trees. So they're saying just like you're going to start seeing them. They're going to appear. So
that's great. I love nature. There's nowhere I want to be more than in the woods and the top of a mountain.
Beautiful.
I just want to be in a forest and play with the elementals. And
awesome.
Yeah.
So
with the elementals, we love nature.
Beautiful. So if I may whistle, I'm going to close my eyes and they're saying, listen for this tune or listen for this. It will come through. Would that be okay with you guys? Like there's just something that they're saying in the connection to the tone. It will spark you. Like you're going to hear it either with birds or you're going to hear it with. They're saying to me, Michelle, don't give too much information because they want it to be your experience. Okay, so.
Wow.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. I love it too. So I may well hear that. I feed birds. We love the birds.
That was absolutely amazing. And you can't whistle like that without
that came from another dimension, I'm pretty sure.
So that happens in a healing sometimes, where I whistle, I chant, and it really is. It's just like I say, when I'm Michelle walking the dog,
It's so cool though. That was absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
It really was. My God, that was awesome. Thank
really,
you.
I feel like you felt it. That's why they kept saying Michelle, and I kept being taken back to it. They kept saying elementals. You got to go back. But I feel like it just spoke to your heart, if I may say that. And
absolutely.
But listen for it because they say that you're going to whistle similarly, like you're going to find your tone.
I whistle at the birds. I mean, Kristen,
yes.
Oh, beautiful.
That's it.
Okay.
Try to get them to talk back, whistle back. So
yeah, beautiful.
But that's
awesome. So
thank you so very much.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys.
And enlightening, and I'm sure our audience as well. And you're very welcome. And thank you.
Thank you. It's been our honor to have you on. So thank you so much. I want to remind people they can find you at michellecarpenter.co.nz. And this has been great. And thank you so much. We really
thank you guys. I've just showed up in my absolute self today. And you've allowed it. So thank you. And I really appreciate the time we spent together and what you astral. Thank you.
Thank you. And please stay
Love
on.
from New Zealand.
All right. We'll be right with you. Thank you. And that's all the time we have this week. I got to tell you guys, really impressed with that.
That was amazing.
Those readings are spot on.
Yes.
They hit very close to home to both of us. So this is the real deal. If y'all are interested in getting such a reading or talking to the 8, you want to reach out to her. Please do so. I think this Thursday we may do our own topic show.
Not sure, but I know Wednesday I believe are on Greg.
Oh, that's right.
Show. Metaphysical crossing, and that is on.
That's right. We'll be doing some Estes method experiments on metaphysical crossings with Greg Cost. You can find on Facebook, and Thursday on Dark Horse Paranormal. I think we're going to do topics: how to manufacture a ghost.
Yes.
Until then, have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you all
everybody,
so much for joining us. Each and every one of you. You know you are. Thank you.
Ken, have a good night.